Welcome to another episode of Queen Speaks, and I am your host, Queen Sherney. I am so elated. Just sat here in the back, look at, was it the backstage, talking to the illustrious Atia and Ye Diego.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Yay! I did it. So, Atia, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in film.
Okay. Well, as you know, my name is Atia Diego, and I am 43 years old. I have two kiddos, one 7, another one is 9.
Okay.
And I don't know, my journey started when my son was 1 year old. I always dreamt of being a director, a filmmaker, and always had a passion for films, especially when I was 9. I loved just chilling on the couch, watching movies all day, eating popcorn, and just really analyzing the movies.
Okay.
But, I was talking to my husband one day, and I told him, my dreams. That's the one thing we don't really want to share, because we know we either have to act on it or we really just have to let the dream die. So I expressed what I wanted to do, and he was my biggest supporter. And I think it was like that week, I got on YouTube. I didn't go to school for it. I got on YouTube. They call it YouTube University.
Right.
And I just started researching filmmaking, directors, Lena Waithe, Ava DuVernay, Issa Rae. And I just took a deep dive in film. And then maybe like a year later, that's when I got all my equipment and I started writing and creating some shorts. My first short film was Clutch.
Clutch. What was Clutch about? And you said
It
a
was
short
horrible. It was horrible now. I don't want to talk about it.
film.
Usually, your first films are not your best because you're learning. But you need those first films because they teach you how to become a successful filmmaker. But I started with Clutch and then a couple of random short films. And then I birthed my first feature film, which was Next of Kin.
Next of Kin, your first feature film.
Yep, my first feature film.
And when was this? Tell us a little bit about Next of Kin.
So Next of Kin is about an African-American male that does a bid, and while he's in prison, his son gets adopted by a Caucasian couple. And once he gets out, he tries to get his son back. By that time, his son is, he's well accustomed with the Caucasian couple. They raised him for a couple years, and now he thinks that's mom and dad. He still knows who his dad is, but of course he hasn't seen him for a while. But the problem is he has a best friend that is always into making bad decisions. And he kind of talks him into getting his son back, but not the right way. So, yeah.
Y'all heard what she said? Because I'm ready to watch it. I'm ready to cry. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to do it all. Called it Next of Kin. What was the inspiration for the title?
Because I kind of felt like this little boy being adopted really grew to know this couple, and they became his parents, and therefore next of kin. They weren't his blood kin, but they were next of kin, so
Right.
that's the name.
Okay.
That's
Next
the
of
title,
Kin.
yeah.
Next of Kin. And so in your journey, what have you found to be one of the things that you've learned or grown from?
One of the biggest things I've learned is it takes a team.
Okay.
I can't do any of it on my own. And what I've grown from is letting people help. A lot of times we always think we can do it, or
Right.
I can do it, I don't need to task anybody with it, when really you're stressing yourself out and it's becoming a burden on your shoulders because you just can't do everything, especially when it comes to making a film. You always need people that are gonna have your back and people that are gonna step in for you and help you out.
And so what does that look like? What does a team for filmmaking look like?
There's a lot of people being willing to help, but knowing when and how to stay in their lanes.
So what's one of the lanes of filmmaking? Like what's one of them? What's one of them that you play? Or what's one of the roles that you play?
Okay, so direct. I'm usually the director.
Okay.
But then again, like I can also be a production assistant, a PA. You always have to have your producers, okay? And then
And so what's the difference between the producer and the director?
the producer would be the person to pull people together.
Okay.
Maybe handle the finances when it comes to paying for things or buying things. But yeah, even grip and gaff, lighting. You need people to light sets. You need people to handle the electrical equipment. So you need a team of people that are going to be willing to help.
And so how long did it take you to shoot Next of Kin? Or how long did that, from the time that you birthed it to the time you were able to pull it all together and see your feature film? What did that timing look like?
9 months.
9 months.
9 months.
As long as it takes for a baby to come out. You don't play no
That's
games.
actually true.
I understand.
But yeah, it took 9 months.
Took 9 months. And so how did you feel about that? Versus, your first few, this is your first feature film. How did that make you feel?
I felt good about it because, of course, the first couple of short films, when you're first starting out, it's just really you and a couple people. Like you have your solid people or your best friends or your family members, and everyone comes together. But in the background, it's really just you, like kicking ideas around and trying to figure things out. But when I wrote Next to Kin, and then I started pulling people together. And then I also had like a co-writer. So Asia Harris was a co-writer on that. And I actually brought the story to her and the idea. And she wrote a lot of the script. And we both bounced ideas off of each other. But I lost my train of thought. When you start bringing people in, you feel better about it. Because they know what they're doing because they're in like their lane. Like if I'm gonna be the director, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna just direct. If I'm gonna be the writer, then I'll write. If I have a producer, the producer's gonna produce. So it always helps. I had a DP. The DP was solid, and I was director of photography. That's the person that actually shoots the film.
So that's the person that shoots the film.
And I was confident in him. And
Why?
I was
What makes a good DP that you
just his work, his previous work,
ethic,
and then his communication skills. So yeah, and the shots he was getting.
So it's, how important is communication on a film set?
Oh, very important. The whole set could fall apart if you're not communicating well. So yeah, people have to know when they're gonna go up. You have to have people there on time. A lot of times when you're shooting films and you're not paying people for it, they have to leave at a certain time. They have other jobs, they have family. So a lot of coordinating and communicating.
A lot of coordinating and communicating.
For
so
sure.
we don't have too much more time left. Tell us about, because you got a film that's coming out in the spring, is that true?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Split Second.
Split Second. And so what is this story that you're telling with Split Second?
So Split Second is also about a young African-American male that went to college, has a great job, works in a high-rise building, has a nice house. He's not yet married or has kids. He's just kind of like on his own, living that single life.
Okay.
And one night, the neighbors call the cops, but they call the cops on the wrong person. They call the cops on his house. And a police officer shows up to his door, and you guys have to wait and see what happens next. He has to make a split-second decision.
So is that where the title came from? Split Second?
Yes, that's where the title came from, because when that cop knocks on his door and the cop does not listen to him, then the cop is agitated and he's agitated, and he has to make a split decision on what to do next.
So when can we look forward to seeing this film?
Early spring
Early
of next
spring
year, so
of
2025. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's wonderful. It's been so wonderful talking to you, Atia and Diego.
Got it. You got it.
Oh, look, that made me really excited, y'all. Y'all don't understand. I was up here really focused and trying to say the name, so I'm very proud of myself. So is there anything else you want to leave with the people? What would you tell, Because what I find interesting about you is that you're telling black male stories, but yet you're a black female.
Right.
So what would you tell a black male that is also searching to get his voice heard? What would you say to him?
To keep pushing through, I would say that it's okay to have emotions, be emotional, be your true self. A lot of times, society really tries to like paint these pictures of who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act.
Absolutely.
But if we are our truest selves, nothing else can beat that. You'll win every time.
I'm not putting nothing on that. Be your truest self. You'll win every time. This is another episode of Queen Speaks. We're talking to the illustrious Atia and Diego. And so we'll catch y'all next time. Maybe we'll see you again.
Yes.
We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.